You're listening to Why You Shouldn't Play with your host, the one and only Blavik.
Welcome to Why You Shouldn't Play with Blavik. And I've got my good friend Hellcat today. Why don't you introduce yourself, Hellcat?
Hello, this is Hellcat.
That was a little bit creepy.
Yes, un gato del diablo.
Yeah, just keeping with the creepy. So, you know what game we're going to be talking about today, Hellcat?
I just saw on the itinerary. Looks like it's Towns.
Towns. This Steam Greenlight project. It's one of the first games that has gotten through Steam Greenlight.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Do you actually know what Steam Greenlight is?
It's probably like what Matt Damon and Ben Affleck did many a year ago with their Project Greenlight, where they're taking up-and-coming developers and trying to fund them and give them an avenue for their video games. You're a little bit.
You're like a little bit right, but you're mostly wrong.
Okay, so no funding occurs.
No funding occurs.
Right,
Basically, well, Steam Greenlight is indie developers submit their project to Steam Greenlight. Steam users vote up projects they'd like to actually be released on Steam so they can purchase them.
Oh.
It sounds like it should be a great plan, but there's some flaws, some issues.
Okay.
You know, for one, there's really nothing to stop a barrage of downvotes because you can downvote the system.
See, I don't know if I understand the up-down vote situation because why? Never mind. I understand it. I just thought about it.
It just popped in your head.
Oh wait, if something sucks, you downvote it. Yep.
Right.
That's good.
Yes. Now on Steam Greenlight, you know, if somebody wants to raise a campaign against a specific developer, like just for example, if the game Fez were to release on Steam Greenlight,
okay,
there'd probably be a fair amount of PC users that would want to downvote him because he's kind of a jerk.
Okay.
And there's a whole lot of issues with the Fez Xbox release and so on, and it's irrelevant. But I'm just saying that there's people that campaign against, you know, stuff like this. This is the same reason why, like, Mass Effect 3 has 1-star review on Amazon. You know, they go bananas, start swinging pitchforks, and just downvote the crap out of it.
Wasn't that like a universally hailed game, except for the ending, which tended to be a tad too ambiguous?
Like 98% of that game was really good, story-wise.
Yeah.
Me personally, the gameplay was kind of like blah, but the story was really good and it was really interesting. And then you get to the end and you want to slash your own wrists.
Yeah, I guess if I devoted 3 games worth of attention and time and effort to a game, I probably would have been pretty upset if they hadn't. At that point, you need to tell me what happened. Like, you can't I hate when a game
leave it ambiguous.
They pull an Inception on you.
It's not 14 different endings when they're just different colors.
Yeah,
but they do the same thing.
Like,
yeah,
you bastard.
So anyway, let's discuss Towns here.
Okay, so I'm actually you offered to facilitate me getting this game.
I did.
I was looking for the game. I was going to see if I could find it on Steam. Hint, hint, wink, wink. And I was going to give it a try. And then I talked to you. And I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, so what we have here in Towns is what's called a management game. Now, their website claims that they take cues from Dungeon Keeper and Diablo and blah, 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 good games from the past. And they very well may have, but when they put them together, it's like somebody shat on a promising plate.
Yeah, I have to admit, when you told me about the premise of this game, nothing about it sounded interesting to me. I do enjoy real-time strategy types of games. It gives me the opportunity to kind of oversee a larger force. I like to feel like I'm in control.
Right. Feel powerful. And
it didn't sound bad. And then you told me that, so, you know what? tell me the premise of this game.
All
I
right.
want them to feel
This,
something I
this
feel.
premise is very complex. Are you ready?
Yes.
You build a town.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Oh. So what type of conflict are you going to see
Well,
in this game?
the town happens to be built on top of a dungeon.
A dungeon.
Yeah, so we're going to call this worst town placement ever.
Yeah, because from the looks of it, it's like an underdeveloped area.
Mm-hmm. Just lots of trees and grass, some
I'm
hills.
gonna assume this is kind of like one of those, not to steal the term, but Middle Earth types of areas. You're wandering around the plains looking
It's
for a
not
place
like there's
to
no
plop down.
guns. We're looking at wooden swords and goblins and orcs and stuff. And so like it has a lot of promise. Like the things that they're saying it's supposed to do sounded cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then it all breaks down when you actually try and play the game.
So, first off, you're built on top of the dungeon,
Right.
Right.
Now there's no entrance to the dungeon until you dig down to the dungeon.
Are you unlucky? Like if you had built yourself on top of an ancient burial ground, you will
you
have
can
no
be attacked
luck.
by ghosts. Ghosts will attack you.
That's not necessary. I mean, that could happen anywhere.
I mean, that's a poltergeist. You're bringing up the Indian burial ground here,
Okay.
but
So you dig down to the dungeon.
yeah. Well, no. You don't dig down to the dungeon. Not
you
right
don't.
away.
All right.
Okay. So there's two types of people that can be in your town, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have your standard civilian be broken down into like the guard, the town guard, and just your standard workers.
Okay.
And then you have heroes that can come and live in your town.
Respectable.
Now, the game doesn't actually tell you what you need in order to get a hero to move into your town. I had to go and look it up.
Wait a second. So you had to go online. Did you go to the website of the game, or did you
Yeah, they
just
had
Google
a
search it?
well, they have a wiki. So
Oh,
I went to their wiki, and I started looking at stuff, and things started connecting together. I had to start the game 2 or 3 times before I had what was a successful town. And
That's messed up.
yeah, well, the first time through, like early on, you start with 11 civilians, and what was it? 7 of them died, almost
Good.
right away.
Good.
Right, so I was down to 4. And
How
we
did
only
they?
have 4.
How did they die? Just like starvation?
This one of them was killed by a frog man.
What?
Many of them starved.
How did they get killed?
Something was killed by a werepig.
So where are these things coming from? The dungeon?
No, they didn't even come from the dungeon.
Wait a second. They're
So-
just strolling around.
Well, the werepig is it's in wild animals, and if you attack one of the wild animals, it can turn into a were of that creature, and it happened to be a werepig. And the werepig really it actually mowed through like 3 or 4 of my guys. It was rough. Finally got it killed and thought it was okay, and then I was like, I'm building walls around this place.
They just ran roughshod on you. All right.
Yep.
So they get killed by a werepig. You go through the first. All right. So at what point did you dig into the dungeon and go in and actually kind of start killing some stuff?
Well, since this does run along with the video, like we'll see it. Now it's important to note that this video is sped up by 2 times.
Yes, you made mention of that to me,
Right.
which I thought was astounding. So not only did you you sped up the in-game speed, right?
Yeah, I also sped up the in-game speed.
So it's
It's max speed, and it still wasn't fast enough.
All right, so the game's speed is maxed out,
Yeah.
and you have now also doubled the speed.
It's important to note, right, that right now we're about 10 minutes in, right? So that means in game time, 20 minutes have passed.
20 minutes, all right?
I still haven't dug down to the dungeon.
Jesus.
All right? I probably won't dig down to the dungeon for another 20 minutes of game time, easily.
Now, let me ask you this. What's the goal of this game? Like, just to build a successful town and keep it going?
The goal, as near as I can tell, is to build a town that will attract heroes, that will go into the dungeon, that will kill all the things in the dungeon.
Okay.
but there's other problems. Like there was one time when all of my little townies died, and I didn't get a game over, and it doesn't say, hey, if you wait, more people will move into your town to pick up where you left off. And I just sort of waited there for a little while, and then I ended it, and I was like, this is dumb.
Yeah, that sounds very, very dumb. So, all right, I don't know if I can wait another 22 just to watch, but so I actually do like the sprites and the way that the game is laid out. It's not offending. It's simplistic.
It's really simple. Part of why it is in this style is because the game's written in Java. Now, I only know that because it required me to install the Java runtime environment on my computer.
God damn it. All right.
Whatever, that's fine. There's plenty of stuff that's in Java, but Java is specifically not a great platform for making games because you cannot use your user's video card. Just because of, things about the Java language, right?
Okay.
So actually, I'm getting ready to dig into the dungeon, and I do it by accident.
All right.
How
so
interesting.
I see that you are... Do you know that you're about to do that?
I know that the dungeon's down there, but I don't... When I have to dig through another 2 layers before I get there. So, like, I didn't... It's going to be a little bit still, but... Yeah, that was not my intention.
Okay.
And it sort of just happened. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever.
It's kind of like when you get a chick naked.
But yeah,
and
exactly.
You didn't know.
Right,
So
you just accidentally got her naked.
Hello.
So basically, what you do is you start with the 11 townies, and then the first order of business is, in my mind anyway, to get them fed, because they'll starve. Like there could be pear and apple trees in the wild, right? And they won't just go over to one and just pick an apple off of it and eat it.
Well, that's because if you think about this, you're God. Like, you literally are God controlling the destiny of their actions.
I was more going with the mayor.
Well, but the mayor... At what point have you lived in a town where the mayor was like, hey, Ken, man, you got to go over there and get some pears out the pear tree?
That's true.
Never. But God, he pulls strings in mysterious ways. That's you.
So, all right. So, in order to get them fed, right, first you have to build a carpentry so that you can... make walls and things, and so that you can start making weapons and stuff. And most importantly, you need it so that you can build the automatic mill.
Okay.
All right. Then you get the automatic mill built, and you get yourself a bakery built. And the other thing you need the carpentry for is you need to build a baker's table and a stonemason so that you can build
That's so stupid.
baking oven to bake
so
some
you
bread.
Can bake bread.
Yeah.
So, like,
You've also got to till ground and plant wheat.
So imagine you're going to a middle school because kids are a lot of times the people you want playing your games. They'll talk to all their friends.
Yeah.
And so you go to...
And mom will say, oh, it's only $10. Sure.
Yeah. So you go to the school and you're like, hey, kids, listen up. They're like, you want to play a video game? And they're like, yeah, like, video games are awesome. They're like, all right, well, have you ever wondered about baking bread? Like, no. Yeah, no, I don't think... No, I've never done that. And yeah, that's a terrible, terrible need. And you have to do this, and that's way before you get to fight somebody.
Well, you never get to fight somebody. You get to watch your townies fight people for you.
Do you get to order them to fight them?
No, you can. They will attack things in their line of sight. Okay. And the guards will hear somebody calling for help and come running to do this. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah. The further, it's just so. There's just nothing happening. It's another game that just plays its goddamn self.
Yeah, that sounds like my type of game.
Like,
I should have played.
You deliver orders, and the townies decide if and when they even want to complete those orders.
Okay.
Like building walls and rooms and things. And digging and so on and so forth. And then there's an order that you can give them to say, prioritize this, that, or the other thing. But One of the way that this game actually ends, all right, I get to a point where I build a market and a trader comes in, right, and I had been going for a while and I'd killed a lot of slimes, so there was a lot of slime gel around, right?
That sucks too, man. They're giving you fucking slimes or flan or whatever they are. Oh god, those are the worst enemies.
There's slime gels laying all over the place, and a lot of them had died due to the heroes that I get that go in and kill them, and occasionally my townies, as I tell them to go and dig stuff down in the dungeon, and the trader comes in and he's willing to buy the slime goo. Okay. So I order up the sale of as much slime goo as the trader can buy from me. And every single one of my townies would go and pick up the slime goo and take it to the trader, and then go back and pick up more slime goo and take it to the trader, and they forgot to eat. And I couldn't stop them from going to the trader while they all just starved.
I'm too devoted to my task to stop and eat.
I had 15 townies at this point, all starved. All of them starved.
Jeez.
I was not happy.
Well, you know what, I gotta admit. Sounds like this is a pretty awesome game thus far.
Yeah, I can starve innocent citizens. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, God, and you don't even get to fight. Now, what types of heroes end up coming to your town, like to fight? Are they even cool looking?
Cool looking? Well, one that can come in that I didn't actually get turns into like a giant bear. And that's kind of neat. But other than that, they're mostly just people. Like, you get some elves, and they have, like, dark little shrouds and elf ears, and they're, like, rogues and stuff. Got a magic user that came in, and he, would summon a skeleton that was running around my town. And I was like, why aren't my townies attacking the skeleton? And then I went and looked that up and found out he was friendly.
Oh, all right. He's the friendly skeleton.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's just Vance, the friendly skeleton. Oops.
So there's all right. So there I do actually. I mean, there are some. Aside from what the game is built around, I do have some other problems.
All right. So let's get through to outside of the absolute absurdity of the game and the gameplay. What problems do you have with it?
All right. So there are some items that make sense to build in a straight line, right? Like if you want to build a wall, generally you're going to want to build a wall from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Right? Well, if you want to build a roof, you are going to want to build like a square, right?
Yeah.
Well, you can't build roofs in squares. You have to build them a line at a time. And what's really frustrating is if the roof doesn't have the right stuff next to it, you can't actually build a roof slot at that place until the previous line of roof comes in. Now you're waiting for the townies in all of this to actually come and do the work. So you could just be sitting there trying to build the next line of roof, and they haven't built the previous one.
So you're like, it's like you're living at that really bad apartment complex where your maintenance guy, you call him, you're like, hey man, look, my oven's out, and he just won't come. Fix your oven.
Exactly.
That's terrible. So I mean, all right. So why weren't you able to build a wall in a straight line?
Oh, the wall you can build in a straight line. But I was starting with that makes sense.
Okay.
But there's other stuff. Tilling ground you can do in a box. So I know that he has the technology to make boxes.
How come you have to put a roof on it? Like, isn't that one of those things that you normally just already have? Like,
I don't know the last time you built a house, but
normally in a game you're gonna say, all right, I want to build a blacksmith shop, or an armor shop, anything, and it builds the entire. You don't have to say
it builds the entire building.
Yeah, and I want a roof.
Right, no,
like,
you're.
Put 2 windows in that shit,
the
like
thing
an
is,
exhaust system.
Since you can go up and down the levels, like you could make yourself a high rise if you wanted to.
Okay.
So you would have to tell when to add the roof.
I got you.
there are some things that I think it's really cool to be able to build a flexible shaped kind of, building.
Mm-hmm.
The blacksmith shop and the mason and the craft, the carpenter or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
That's not one of those spots. Like, just give me a building that I can place down that is the carpenter, and tell me. You can even make the requirements for me getting it ridiculous. I've got trees. I've got a tree farm that they'll go chop down. Like, I don't have to manage that exactly. Like when you're beginning, you do have to manage. All right, we'll chop this tree, and then you're gonna go plant it over here, and blah blah blah. And that's that's okay. But it's just so much time is spent waiting for the townies to come and do your work, and you can prioritize it, but there's a very limited amount of prioritization that can happen, and they still get, and they still don't necessarily do it in order.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, I would prefer if they just built everything in the order that I ordered them to build it, right?
But do they build it like in whatever's closest proximity to them, or
no, they have, so you set the priority. Like, if I want them to take priority on building walls as opposed to gathering things and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And if I lay down a wall and at the same time I tell them to build a bench, they will build the walls and then the bench.
Okay.
Now, if I lay down the bench and then tell them to build the walls, they'll build the walls and then the bench because the walls are the higher priority.
Oh, okay.
So that's just frustrating because I actually want a little bit more control over how they respond.
You would think, the game being a town builder, you being the manager, it would actually find some sort of importance in the order in which you're giving them directions.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to making weapons.
Yeah. So wait a second. So this game, Towns, it got upvoted enough
to warrant the game actually being released on Steam.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Seems like this is one of those just... I mean, let me ask you this. Who do you think enjoyed this game enough that they upvoted it and got it in?
I don't know. I mean, I think the guy had a website and he had a small number of following, and he's just been working on it and whatnot, and I guess his following went and did it and made it happen for him. I mean, this is basically, when I see this, I feel like he's trying to jump on, the Minecraft bandwagon.
It actually, I'm not familiar with a lot, but I even recognize that. Yeah. I mean, it looks similar to that.
Right. And you if you wanted to spend the, years of your life to build some really elaborate city structure and whatnot, you can do it. The tools are there. They're a little awkward to use. The game doesn't tell you what you need to get to the next thing necessarily all the time. And it's just...
So
it's a chore to find some of this stuff sometimes, too.
You could play this game ad nauseum. You could just play and play.
Provided your townies didn't die, and there's mods for the game, so you could mod the game to do whatever you like. And I mean, it's interesting in that
sense, but not something that kept you long enough to...
Yeah, it's not gonna have that long-term appeal to me. Like...
Yep, and I see him putting together the little walls now.
Yeah. And that's me, like, so the menus are kind of cumbersome too. Mm-hmm. All right, so there's a menu at the bottom, the left, and the right-hand side of the screen,
which you would think might be fairly fine placement for
they're
menus.
Hidden when you open the game for the first time. They're hidden, so you're presented with a game that has no controls.
It's got little circles on the side.
They're little buttons.
So you click that button and it.
The little half circle. Yeah, you can't. I saw it right away and I clicked on it, but it's
very
confusing.
odd. Yeah, very odd that they would just.
So, and then it's just further things that are, like, there's a small tutorial. There's a very small tutorial, and it doesn't tell you anything about how to get heroes into the town. It doesn't tell you how to get new townies into the town, which I looked up. Apparently, your townies have to be happy, and you have to have a personal room for new townies to move in.
Okay.
Well, I cannot for the life of me figure out how to make these fuckers happy. And to be fair, I don't blame them. All they do is work and slave all day.
Yeah, but I mean,
my orders.
If you don't know that there's other stuff for them to do, how are you
going to get them to do it? The guards, on the other hand, are pretty happy.
Well, that's because they have one job. They're just chilling.
I learned that you make them a barracks. They go hang out in the barracks. They shoot pool, whatever, play darts. I don't care. and then they get pretty stinking happy. So you can actually use that to offset the worker bees' unhappiness.
Let me ask you this: like, are there other like towns?
No.
Or is so it's just you?
Well, it's just you. There's no other towns on your map. I assume that there are towns because there's a caravan to sell to. But
looking at the map, it looks, I guess.
So we're looking at dungeon right now, actually.
Well, I know we're in the dungeon, but it looks like top right. You've got your world map.
Yes,
and that's just a square, right?
Yep, that's just a big ass square.
All right, and so it doesn't look very expansive.
It is. When you're actually playing it, it does. There is a lot on it, and I'm in a rather small area of it. And as the game progresses, you kind of have access to more of it. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can make your people go farther, and they'll be a little bit safer because they have equipment. So if they run into something, they can kill it, and so on. And towards this point in the game, you actually have a pretty well established town. So like right now, my goal in this game is to get the heroes to go down and search in the dungeon, and they're running through the dungeon, and to basically build all of the personal rooms for more people to move in, manage the trading, make sure everybody gets fed, which I obviously failed at later.
How dare you? You set your minions up for failure.
Yeah, but overall, like this game, it's just sort of meh.
Bleh. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I actually really wanted to play one this week. This, I mean.
Well, maybe next week you can play the game.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap this game up real quick. You say it's meh. I mean, would you recommend one of your friends to play this game?
Not one of my friends, no. If I knew somebody that was really into management style games, I'd be like, hey, here's something to hold you over until the next management game that you want comes out. Yeah.
That was my roundabout way of asking if we were friends.
Oh.
See, because you didn't recommend it to me. So
but I wouldn't recommend it to you because that would be a horrendous waste of your time. So.
See,
but
we're friends. That's why.
Yeah, it's just meh. I mean, if you really like management games, go ahead and play it. There's probably something there for you, and you'll probably have a better time of it than I did, because I don't really play a lot of management games.
Yeah. Well, I think viewers, listeners, don't waste your time on this one. We cannot support you as you lumber through this game. I think then it's time for the Mobile Game of the Week.
It is definitely time for Mobile Game of the Week. And this week we played Songpop. Songpop.
I played this game.
Draw Something people.
Yeah, you didn't know that at first.
No, I didn't. It wasn't until you informed me, which is weird. Usually I'm informing you.
Technically this is... So, Songpop, it's made by OMG Pop, which I think you informed me. It was... they were bought out by Zynga, I think. So it has almost the exact same feel as Draw Something, and it's where you go in. It's a social game. You're
I feel like it's more of an advertisement than a social game.
It can be. I mean, it absolutely does a very good job of giving you just the little hook of the song.
Yep.
Just enough to make you go, oh man, I did like that game, that song.
That song. Yeah, I love that song.
Yeah. So.
And then I don't know how it was on your Droid, but on iPhone, there's a buy button.
I didn't even pay attention. But I think there is a buy button, because you can buy some music through the Play Store. So, all right. I played this game for like 30 minutes.
That's a good run for you, really. Considering most of the games that we talk about, you play for 0 minutes. So not a bad game, but not a great game. So it starts off. I've mentioned it's a social game. So you're going to be playing against other people the entire time. There is no single player. No, if you want to just listen to 10 seconds worth of a song and play, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, not at all. And so, now, being that I have no friends, it's something that you so rudely reminded me of prior to the podcast today, I had to go out and just kind of start random games when I downloaded this. So I just said, find me an opponent, I don't care who, and I'm going to play this game, see what it's all about. So now you would think, though, on a quick aside, that the one time I'm going to play a game, and you've decided to play the game, that I might wait for you to actually play with you.
Right, yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen when we discussed Songpop.
No,
then you came in and you said you stopped playing it, so...
yeah, all right.
Like I didn't have much of a chance.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. Like, it's not that it's... Like, I have the attention span. Like, if something interests me, I will devote time to it. A good example, I have read through 67 issues of The Walking Dead, 1 through 67, in like a week.
Okay. I don't know if that's supposed to impress me or not.
No,
but,
not at all. I'm just saying that...
Comic book nerd. So.
Yeah, like, I will find a way to do something. I will devote my time to it. So, with this game, I start playing... So you go in, basically, let's say I start a game with you. I'm going to select a musical genre, and when you start...
It's a limited selection.
Very limited selection. So I ended up picking 90s alternative. I'm familiar with 90s alternative music.
That's my bread and butter, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I did fairly well with that. I mean, I hit all 5. It'll ask you play 5 hooks, or whatever you want to call them. And you then get to just like draw something after you play, and then your opponent finishes the round. Before you start the next round, it'll show you how quickly they got the answers.
Yeah, just to rub it in a little bit.
Yeah, or how quickly they didn't get the answer. So
and how wrong they got it. And
that's interesting. I like that aspect of it. The thing is that past 90s alternative, I'm practically useless, and at least at this game, and because not in general. But here's the problem: like I have a fairly good, like wide range of music that I'll listen to, or at least have listened to, and familiar with. Yet I was absolutely out in the dark with a lot of these genres.
So what about classic rock?
It's not classic rock. It was music.
Definitely music.
Disguising itself as classic rock. I think that their definition of classic rock was a little bit different than mine.
Well, yeah, like you get classic rock and like Elvis Presley songs come up. And now I understand he's the quote-unquote king of rock and roll, but certainly by today's standards and probably even by back then, like that was fucking pop music.
It's not classic rock.
It's like... No, you're expecting more like Rod Stewart and Pink Floyd and some Aerosmith and stuff.
Led Zeppelin.
Right.
Yeah,
and that shit doesn't come up.
No, not
Occasionally you get a Pink Floyd song.
Right. So that was very difficult. And so I ended up playing a few different rounds, and here's where I encountered the first problem that I had with the game, and that was the user interface. It was not very intuitive.
There's a lot of arrow clicking all over the place.
Now, Draw Something and Songpop are very similar games in their interface. Now, it makes sense. They're made by the same company. The problem is both of them, I thought, left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, they each could have done more than the bare minimum to present a user interface.
Right. To the point where you're right. It's a lot of arrow clicking. It's not just like I can't just hit even some of the home keys on my phone to get where I want to go sometimes.
Oh, you got a droid, so you've got buttons that aren't on screen. I don't know what that's like.
Yeah, it's only 4 buttons.
I got one button and it just closes the app.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, well, either way. So, all right. I don't understand why OMG Pop, you were bought by Zynga. You may not like some of Zynga's games. You might get tired trying to play Words with you, or trying to play Scramble with Friends. Sorry, how dare I? I love Scramble with Friends, by the way.
Really?
Love
you
it.
can just cheat. You can just pause it, and then you go to the internet. You put the letters in the order that they're in, and boom.
Yeah, I know. So here's the thing. I don't want to do that. It's a mind exercise, and I've actually noticed very recently that my vocabulary it's gone up.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell that by your podcast.
Yeah, no, not at all. I don't exercise my heightened vocabulary here. Why would I do that? So, anyways, you would think, though, that OMG Pop might have been able to utilize some of the new tools that might be at their disposal by being bought by this other company and have done... Look, man, Zynga, hate them if you want to, but they have a very simple, easy-to-use interface.
Yeah. See, now I don't know how much cross contamination there is between
There
all
might
of the
not
companies that
Yeah.
Zynga has acquired, since I don't think that Zynga themselves actually creates an original product. They
Right.
just buy and steal from other people.
Yeah, sure.
Because they're, the devils.
I'm
Right.
not going to argue with that. There was a lot left to be desired.
Yeah, it could definitely be easier to use. But one of the things that works really well is my ability to just buy a song after I hear it.
Yeah, so, I didn't look at that. But, yeah, you're right. I mean,
They're not fucking that up. That's their bread and butter.
So then let's move on to the actual playing of the game, so to speak. So yeah, I'm going to listen to the cue. Here's one thing: my speaker on my phone. It's not anything problem with the brand of phone or whatever,
right.
but my speaker sucks.
Yeah, you definitely need headphones.
Yes, you would need
to be experienced in this game as best you can.
Yes. All right. So for that, that eliminates the game for me because I'm at the house. I'm with the Hell Kittens. They're running around the house. They're doing their thing. I gotta be on the prowl.
What about the Ocelot? Can't she take care of the...
If the Ocelot catches me with headphones in, it's a bad night.
It's a bad night. You get Ocelotted in the
night.
face.
Oh, she will swipe her, gigantic paws at me and tear me to shreds. So it just doesn't fit with my lifestyle.
Right.
I can't play it at work. Look, I'm trying to...
Can't play at work in air quotes.
In other ways. I don't want to. It doesn't grab me enough to say, yes, play this at work. And so, to me, that eliminates the game. I can't
Yeah, there's nowhere for you to play it, so...
Right.
I mean, this is not a game for Hellcat.
Yeah.
This is, however, a game for every tween that ever got a free smartphone.
I know. And so, then let's talk about the next aspect of the game. So, I did think that OMG Pop did something well with this game that I did, and it took an aspect of Draw Something that I didn't like, but made it work better in this game, and that was your leveling, so to speak.
Yeah, the purchasing.
Right.
You get the coins, you purchase stuff.
You play your games, and you then get your coins, and instead of buying packages of colors...
of which you only need one.
Right. You would actually buy genres of songs.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, and they even have a video games genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saved up
How did you do with that?
399 coins, and when I can select video games as my genre in the beginning, I'm gonna win.
Oh, really?
It's just nobody else that's playing against me that's gonna be able to do it. Like, there's some obvious ones. You get your Sonic and your Mario and stuff, and they come up, but and then they'll give you like a theme song from Red Dead Redemption.
Oh yeah, see, I'd be done.
Well, there's a trick. See, when you're as affluent in video games as I am, you know the titles and you know basically what the game is about. So you can listen to the music and say, that song goes really good with that title.
Yeah.
And more often than not, I'm correct.
I got you. Well, the issue that arose there, and I realized this very quickly. I know I didn't play it for very long, but you don't earn enough coins to like at a good enough clip.
If you were to win every match, so you always got the 3 coins, to buy some of the cheapest stuff, you would have to win 100 games.
Yeah.
Now they do this because there's a store where you can buy coins, and then you can pick all the categories you want.
Yeah, so I don't like while I do like the fact that you actually have something worthwhile and it can help you enjoy the game better. I don't like the fact that it takes forever to actually get there with it. And The last thing, and this is what actually made me get rid of it. So I had started at that point. I'd actually started 2 games with random opponents, and someone started a game with me.
Oh, well, you're playing random, so random's coming at you.
Yeah, I didn't know that though. I only initiated 2, or at least I only thought I did. You know, I feel like I'm not an idiot, but so like when shit like that happens, it's the game. I feel like the game fucked up, but I probably did do something wrong.
Well, I
to
mean,
initiate a game, and
you're
then
playing with random opponents, and there's other people that are going to be playing with random opponents and stuff. And with that kind of game too, the more people you're playing against, the faster you're going to get coins.
So here's the thing, though. With let's go back to Scramble with Friends, right? So if I start a game and they can't find me an opponent, it gives you a little placeholder. It says, "Hey, please wait while we find you somebody to play with,"
Right.
And then I know I'm expecting a game. In this game, I got 2 games when I requested a game. So,
you got 2 when you requested 1.
Basically,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
I'm like, where the fuck did this extra one come from?
Well,
That's what, yeah.
Okay, that wasn't clear.
Yeah. And so then I get to a point where I'm like, I don't have any other genres I want to play. I did like new pop music, pulled a
They do have
gooser on
tons of genres to select from, though.
And so, well,
Anything from specific artists to just all kinds of crazy shit.
well, I wanted to quit the game I was playing. And I'm a delete fiend.
Yeah, you like it to be nice and clean?
I do. I don't like to have all of these vestigial games that I'm doing nothing with anymore. They don't do anything for me. So I try to quit the game. Couldn't figure out how to do it.
Now, on the iPhone, I believe it's a swipe. You just swipe it left to right, and then a delete button comes up.
If it takes that long for me to figure it out, it's
just deleting the game. Just
And-
done with it. Delete it.
I
It's
mean,
gone.
look, I gave it. I'm sitting here. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go into the game. I'm gonna try to click this. I'm gonna click that. I mean, I'm giving it my damnedest. It just didn't freaking work, and that frustrated the hell out of me. So I called it a day. Look, if you're a tween, you're not listening to this podcast, so
No, almost certainly not.
there's that. But if you're a tween or you have some younger friends, this might be a game to play. And if you're very good with music and you want to flex that musical muscle,
and if you don't mind being, quote unquote nickel and dime to to buy songs and buy coins, then go ahead and play it. Otherwise,
it's not the game for you.
It's barely even a game. It's more like something just to pass the time.
Right.
If you know a girl with giant titties and she's playing it and you want to get in close with it, then you play it with her.
Yep.
And you probably lose to her over and over and over again because you suck at music anyway.
Yeah.
And, you don't want to be beating her around the bush. It's not until...
Not in the game, at least.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
Not until later. That comes later.
So I would not recommend this game.
Nope.
But let's...
Hellcat, you wouldn't recommend any game, but me with the authority here, I wouldn't recommend it either. So.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm sorry. I did overstep my bounds a little bit there, but I wanted to ask you a question before we wrap up the podcast. Yeah? And I know you're not a big console gamer,
right?
If a console gamer at all. However, there has been a new console launch, and I think you could argue this is the first console in the next generation.
Yeah. Now we're talking about Nintendo U.
Wii U.
I'm sorry, the Wii U. That's right. The
terrible
Wii
name,
U.
by the way. But
yeah, the Wii was a terrible name. In fact, the Wii, when they were developing it, their product name was Revolution. That was a cool name.
Yeah.
And then they released fucking Wii. But...
Well, look, it definitely was iconic in the sense that it stood out.
Yeah.
It gave you something. I mean, I didn't like it at first, but I got one.
I got a Wii, and I played some, the Nintendo requirements, basically, your Mario and your Zelda and stuff, and Metroid. And they were good. They were fun.
What do you think about this, though?
The Wii U. I think it's interesting. I was actually looking at it and thinking, I might want to get one of those. And for me, like... A lot of people hate on the little screen that they've released with it,
The tablet.
The little tablet. But the thing is, like, I'm looking at that, I'm like, this is a potential whole new style of game. A whole new, if it's used correctly, it's going to be awesome.
I think So here's one of the limitations.
Mhm.
You can only use, I think it's called the gamepad. You can only use one gamepad per local game, so per system. So if you and I are playing against each other, I either have to take the more traditional gamepad, like a controller. I think they call it like the pro style or whatever. And
right, the better looking controller than the stupid
it actually.
Wiimote.
By the way, the Nintendo controller, I'd rank it second to the PlayStation controller.
Based on looks, I'd probably agree. I don't particularly find the Xbox controllers comfortable.
No, but even the gamepad, from what I understand, is very ergonomic, very easy to use. It's very light as well, so hey, give it a try. But that can cause... Now, it can give you certain gameplay features. For instance, I read with the Zombie U, they have a multiplayer feature, and the person with the gamepad drops zombies into the field of play, and then the other person goes and kills them.
In any kind of... There's a lot of gaming situations that don't lend themselves very well to consoles and PC games as it stands. Like a lot of the pen and paper RPGs, right?
Okay.
So you got like your Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot. Well, this is the perfect platform to digitize that experience.
Yeah, I really think that any game that utilizes some sort of inventory management, any sub-menus...
It's perfect, inventory you just put on the little screen.
Right, and Nintendo toyed with this with the Wii initially with... it was the GameCube. It was Final Fantasy.
Hookup. Yeah.
Yeah, you could use your Nintendo DS. And
well,
actually,
it was the Game Boy Advance at the time.
No, it was the
Crystal.
DS. I had it. It was the Crystal Chronicles.
Yeah, that was an Advance. It was a Game Boy Advance.
No, it was not. It was the Nintendo DS. I know because I bought one.
I'm googling
so that I could play.
It may have been
just
both.
that, and then
the DS may have been able to select it to use it as well.
It was right. It was when the first DS came out, and I remember it wasn't the Advanced because it was the square flip style. I bought a red one.
That was a Game Boy Advance.
I don't think so. I think you're incorrect. So
really, you're gonna challenge me on this?
I challenge you to that.
All right.
Feel free to look that up while we continue our discussion.
Looking it up, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, right? This is right out of Wikipedia, and
I don't trust that as a resource, anyways.
Listen. Many new gameplay elements were included in this game, such as real-time fighting, as well as being the first role-playing video game to incorporate GameCube, Game Boy Advance compatibility.
And by Game Boy Advance, they mean Nintendo DS. So,
they do not.
So, anyways, they actually, though, that was a really cool aspect to that game because it was a multiplayer RPG. You could play with your friends. It was co-op. And you then also, you could do all your management there. I thought that was pretty slick. And so this game offers you that as well. This system offers you that as well. However, so the launch titles haven't gotten
now there's
really good reviews.
There's a Mario game, I think, and there's
Zombie
Wii Play,
Arkham City Armored Edition.
Yeah, there's some new Nintendo Playground or something. Or
Nintendo
whatever.
Land.
Yeah, it is Nintendo Land.
So hey, look, these are just the launch titles. Give it time. I almost guarantee
launch titles make or break systems.
Well, they've already launched. So if you're a Nintendoite,
you're going to get it anyway.
You're
more religious than Apple.
You're going to be happy that they've actually given you some quality third-party games to play. Because if you're a Nintendoite, one of the things that's come up within the past 15 years, really since the launch of the Nintendo 64, is the lack of third-party titles.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna get.
Well, there's a lot of them. They aren't very good generally. But
if you think about, so with the Nintendo 64, one of the big drawbacks from that was it was a cartridge system, and so it's great. I can do certain saves and stuff.
They did have a CD system that you could attach to it, but it was only released in Japan.
Thanks, Nintendo, for giving me something extra I have to buy to go along with your system, dude. Back then, one of the coolest things about games were the cutscenes.
Yep.
You didn't have CGI on. That's video games were where you got that.
Yeah.
So, take the next step. When you get to the GameCube, that thing just failed. It had some third parties. It had some cool stuff.
The GameCube was great. Like at least, especially the first party software was really good. on the GameCube.
I did like Super Mario Sunshine.
It also, it also would work well as a weapon. You could bludgeon someone.
Yeah.
It was heavy as shit, that thing.
Yeah. But then the next one, the Wii, you didn't get any third parties. It couldn't stand up with.
No, well, you also have to take a look at the demographic that Nintendo's going for.
I know.
They want the family-friendly system, with the younger kids and stuff. And
they were able to permeate a market that a lot of the more hardcore Xbox, PlayStation 3s couldn't permeate.
Specifically with bowling. Wii bowling.
Right. Dude, people spent $250 to bowl.
Yeah.
That's it. And they would never buy another game, mainly because there were no other good ones to buy.
Yeah, there was a very limited supply of excellent games.
But anyways, I think that Nintendo has really, I don't know, the Wii made them relevant again. I think the GameCube was a big miss, and PlayStation 2 really took off.
Well, you also have to
play.
understand, it wouldn't surprise me if for the, within the next few years or whatever, Nintendo said, you know what, we're done making consoles. Because they're making money hand over fist on DS and DS accessories and so on and so forth.
They, for the most part, outside of the Vita, the PlayStation Vita, which I think has gotten some pretty good reviews. It looks like a quality
Vita's
handheld.
questionable. It's got a very limited supply of games and whatnot.
Outside of that, though, the Nintendo owns the handheld market, and I mean,
the only thing that's going to take it away are smartphones.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. But the thing is, Nintendo has those Nintendo exclusive titles, the Marios and the.
But it also wouldn't be that hard for them to put that on.
They could port it over. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's those games, those titles and properties that are going to allow them to continue to when the gaming industry takes that next step.
But Nintendo knows that when they Nintendo knows that when they release a Mario game, people are going to buy their system. When they release a Zelda game, more people are going to buy their system.
I agree.
When they release Metroid, the system sold.
Some of the games I've played, some of the only games I've played, and not only because it was the console that I have a Wii, but because they fit my lifestyle, which is somebody who can't really sit down and play a whole lot. I played Super Mario Galaxy 1. Yeah. Super Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah, you got little quick hitter levels and.
I mean, phenomenal games. The physics in those games, the controls, they're tight. Visually, it was appealing. It very much so fit within that whole Wii.
Super Mario 64 is still, in a lot of people's minds, especially even mine, is still better than Galaxy and Sunshine and Luigi's Mansion and stuff like that.
So that's nostalgia talking. And I have to say that because not only does Super Mario Galaxy itself, this is just the first game, take it a step up, but it capitalizes and then builds upon what Super Mario 64 did well, and it added layers to that 3D platforming concept that Super Mario 64 created.
Well, it's important to understand that 3D platforming was around before Super Mario 64.
I know, but Super Mario 64 really launched it into the stratosphere.
If you want to compare it to 3D platforming games, there's better examples. Like Crash Bandicoot series is great.
Tongue. You bite.
I'm not.
Tongue.
I mean,
that bastard will never live up to the Italian plumber that stars.
Crash Bandicoot. It was fantastic.
Well, hey, look, we're getting a little off on the side, but
Nintendo Wii U released.
And
with a whole lot of meh.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but it is the first console of this next generation.
Yeah, but see, with Nintendo, you always they seem to work on half generations.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
If I recall, the specs aren't really that much better than a PS3.
They are. So they haven't released all of the information regarding what's actually under the hood. Mm-hmm. But so it's very possible it's using a processor that's just kind of souped up from the version that's in the Wii. That being said, it is graphically supposed to be more powerful than a PlayStation 3, but it's not like you're going to see when the new PlayStation or new Xbox come out, where they'll be like an entire. It'll be another generation.
My PC is still going to beat the shit out of all of them. But the question is,
how dare you?
does the Wii U play Wii games?
Yes.
So it is backwards compatible.
Yes, and you can use your Wii nunchucks with them. You can use any of the legacy controllers, right? Yeah. So Nintendo did go to painstaking lengths to make sure that you could use that stuff with it. So I personally, I don't think I'm going to get a Wii U.
I might, because they look interesting, and the potential with the tablet of a new type of gaming or a new gaming experience is there for me, and it's worth it.
I would love to play an HD Zelda game, and Twilight Princess was the last Zelda game I played. I haven't been able to play Skyward Sword yet, but I just don't think that I can bring myself to buy a gamepad when I have the 3 Hell Kittens running around the house.
Oh yeah, that's gonna get smashed.
Yeah, it would die. So I don't want to do that to the gamepad or to
Well,
my
you know
wallet.
what? You've got another 6 years before they're all at least 6, right?
Yeah. Another 6 years until they're all 6. Yes. Yes.
So that's about the time that you're looking for the home family console.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you could probably get one a little bit sooner, but you just have to keep the youngest kitten away.
Yeah, I talked to the Ocelot. And I told her, I was like, look, with the next console generation, with the next Xbox, I'll probably get an Xbox when the next one comes out, because I like what Microsoft's done. I like what I've seen from Xbox Live. I was like, for the little guy, gotta get him a console. That's part of growing up. You get the new video game at Christmas, fucking jerk off to internet porn, fucking smoke weed in your parents' basement. Yeah, I'm growing up in America. So, yeah, you gotta fucking do it.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. So, all right, I think we've covered a lot in this episode of why you shouldn't play.
I'm sorry, I took over a little bit.
A little bit, but you know what? You actually did some research. You tried to play one of our games, so I figured we'll give you the rope, and we'll see what you can do with it.
You know what? I think this is going to turn over a new leaf for Hellcat. What are we playing? Well, what are you playing next week?
I think we're gonna play a game called Don't Starve. We're gonna talk about that.
I think I'm gonna play it.
Yeah?
I think I am.
We'll see. We'll see. If I'm hoping for more than 30 minutes of playtime out of you here.
That's asking a lot, but I might actually play this one.
As far as the mobile game of the week, we actually haven't decided yet. There's
going to be some discussion about that.
Just because fuck these mobile games. I'm like, I want to review a good one that I enjoy.
I played one a while back called I think it was Clockwork Knight.
Yeah.
That was a really cool game. Got me addicted, got me hooked, played it for a long time. And you could get caught up on that. I don't know. We'll take a look at the app stores
around. Yeah.
And see what ranks highest on there that you may not have heard about. And we can enlighten you on.
We'll bring you top quality information about these mobile games.
Yes. I wonder if they have a sex simulator.
Not on iPhone.
Oh.
That wouldn't make it through the Apple Store.
That's such bullshit.
Yeah, well.
Fucking, there's got to be. Isn't there something in the Constitution about that?
Yeah. I mean, you have the right to free speech, but that's in public domain. The iStore is private as shit, so
it's true.
They can deny whatever they like. But anyway, before we trail off into oblivion here, is there anything you want to add at all?
Not at all. And
all right.
Please.
Well, from Hellcat and Blavik, we're signing off. Have happy playing.